Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Frank here, continuing to work on the pork chop style blade guard for the Jet JPJ 12 joiner planer. It's a 12-inch wide joiner. It has a European style blade guard on it, and I'm building the American version, which is a pivoting blade guard. So I'm going to jump right back into that and see how far we can get in this episode. All right, that faces one side of it. This is a nice new drill bit. Wow, all the way through. It was fast. All right, so that should work fine. So this is going to be on the pivot bracket, and the pin that the blade guard will have on it will fit down inside here. All right, we'll go back to the workbench. All right, so this is our pivot bracket, at least so far. And I've just got this tacked on for the time being until we decide that we're happy with it. And oops. All right, I'm not positive that this is going to be stiff enough. Probably could have made it out of 1/8 inch plate actually, but if if this flexes and causes the blade guard to droop at the far end, then we can add a stiffener to it or something. We'll see how it works. All right, let's get the pin welded to the blade guard itself, at least the top surface of the blade guard. And That's a close fit. That's a pleasing sound, isn't it? This is such a close fit. I'm just going to polish it a little bit here. So my plan is to have this rotate on a ball bearing. It's actually a BB. Okay. All right, so I've got the countersink hole in the bottom for the BB, or ball bearing. Next thing is just to weld this to the blade guard. Now we're going to use some sort of a torsion spring. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so this will rotate in there. This is a torsion spring. Now this is clearly not one I can use, but the idea is it would fit down over this, and one arm would engage the blade guard, and the other arm would be fastened to the bracket. So that would give you the spring force. Now this is clearly too much force, not right diameter. We'll find something that will work appropriately. I mean, there's other ways of doing it, wrap a spring around it, but this is a torsion spring like this would actually be the best way to go. I actually have a bigger, larger diameter one, but it takes even more force. So, all right, so that's where we're headed. Let's get this welded to the blade guard. All right, so that rotates easily. I don't have the ball bearing in there yet. I'll go to the hardware store and look for a spring that we can use for this. Hopefully I'll be able to find something. All right, I'm happy with the position there. So we can start working on the lip that goes around this blade guard. So I'm thinking something I mean, that's 1.5 inches up. So I think we want a lip that's about, normally don't face joint anything thinner than 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to say a 3/4 inch lip. That'll leave a 1/2 inch between it and which should be plenty safety margin. So I just need a 3/4 inch strip to go basically, from about here around, really only needs to go to here, because you just need it so that the wood will hit it and push it out of the way. So it doesn't need to go all the way around. It only needs to go from here to here, where it would get touched by the workpiece. All right, so that's my blade guard. Let's see how it works with, this is a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. So go through like that. and then this would spring back. All right, I think I just need to beef up the welds on here, on the pivot bracket, and install a spring. Figure out how to install a spring. Let's take this off and weld it up. This is a little finger grip so that you can pull the blade guard around without reaching over it. Just grab on it and pull it. Alright, we'll do one more assembly here. Alright, so I just welded on this little finger tab, which will allow you to pull the blade guard out of the way without, reaching over here and grabbing it and risking that. So it's just a little finger grip. It's hot, so I have to use this to touch it. But everything else seems to be working okay here. I think the only thing I need now is the spring. So let me work on that. All right, so I'm going to drill and tap for the spring. And this is just a 1/4 20. It's almost, it's not really thick enough for much in the way of threads. And I may wind up putting a nut on the top side, or we'll see. All right, so I just drilled and tapped this for the spring. I couldn't find a torsion spring that I liked, so I'm just using a extension spring here. And I did drill and tap it for 1/4 20 here, but then I also added a nut on the top side. A safety nut, just to make sure it doesn't come undone. Probably not necessary. I mean, the other choice was to grind this off flush, which, you know, I was going to do. But just being extra safe. Okay, I'm going to put this on, see how it works. All right, so I've decided to put a screw through here for the other end of the spring. Well, I couldn't find a torsion spring like I wanted. I just have an extension spring here. It's not quite strong enough to overcome friction in this pivot. So I think I'm going to go ahead and paint this and look for another spring, bring you back when I have it primed and painted. But I mean, I think it's basically done. The only issue with it is the spring is just a little bit weak for returning it. But other than that, I think it's done. All right, so I'm going to look for a better spring. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and paint this, bring you back when I've got it painted and a better spring. All right, folks, I think I'm done. I've got a new spring, and I'll show you how the new blade guard works. All right, so I much prefer that than having to deal with the hand over this blade type guard. So that worked fine. That's a nice finish. So I would much rather have the pivoting blade guard. I mean, I think at some point it's going to stick out far enough to be, you know, a nuisance, the same. But I tell you, it doesn't stick out as far as this. I mean, it's still 4 inches less stick out than this one. But of course, if you use this one as it's designed, it would stay in there and your hands would go over it, as cumbersome as that is. So I like this. We'll cut one more. I think that's great. I think that's great. All right, I like that. All right, so that's going to wrap up this episode and this project. The new pivoting blade guard, I mean, I like it. It's very familiar. It operates the same way as my 20-year-old Delta joiner, and that I'm used to, and it's much, to me, it's more ergonomic than having to move your hands over the other blade guard. At, you know, full width jointing, it sticks out 4 inches less than the other blade guard, the European blade guard. If you were to remove it completely or pull it completely out, I think at that point you just take it out completely, and then, you know, you wouldn't have any interference. But I like the pivoting blade guard, and it works great. So and it's the right color. It's supposed to be red, right? All right, so that's going to be it for this one. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you have been subscribed, double check and make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube is constantly unsubscribing. I see, you know, blocks of people being unsubscribed. My subscription's going up and down. Anyway, just check that and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this. What kind of blade guard you prefer, if you like, especially if you like the European one, and maybe it's just a matter of getting used to it. But tell me your thoughts on that if you have any, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.